Welcome to another episode of The Latest with Maya. Today, I am very excited to have a conversation with actor Reggie Lee. You've seen Reggie in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, The Fast and the Furious, and the show Prison Break, and so much more. He played Sergeant Wu in the show Grimm, which I love. And he even guest starred in another one of my favorite shows, White Collar. Um, Thank you so much for being on my show. I am so excited to talk with you.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be the latest with Maya. I am the latest with Maya, the absolute latest. I can't believe you're a fan of White Collar, huh? I heard there's
Yes.
a reboot.
Yeah, I was so excited when I read that. It is one of my all-time favorite shows, and ever since it came back on Netflix, I just like it's on all the time. Um,
Isn't
so
that the
and
best?
I
They've like they're like putting shows on Netflix that have been on and off the air for like a while now, which is great.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I have two stories about White Collar. Well, first of all, they're really nice guys.
Yeah, I've interviewed a couple people from the show and they've all
Yeah.
been so nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I have a story. So when I was doing Grimm, I was looking for a house to buy here in LA. I had a condo here, and I was out doing press somewhere in Arizona. I think they'd flown me to Arizona to do some press, and so I was and so I found this house, and it's the house that I'm in now, and it's Tim DeKay's house.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, oh, okay. So I said, I put an offer in and they told me who it was. And I was like, oh, I've worked with them before. So we were both doing press because both White Collar and Grimm were with Universal Television. So my publicist said, well, let me just call his publicist and tell him to accept your offer right now. So no, I was so happy because I did eventually buy his house and uh formally kind of aside from working together, he walked me through the house and it was a house where he kind of raised his kids with his wife, so it was really special to them and he got teary-eyed and because he was leaving the house, but he's such a good guy. His family is so great. His two kids are wonderful, and his wife is really wonderful. And yeah, I'm wishing them well for this reboot. They got to do it. Maybe someday we can get a Grim reboot,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. That's a crazy story because I love that you love White Collar, but
Yeah.
it's a really fun show to work on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I have a White Collar poster in my room and I actually wrote a song about White Collar that I'm working with a musician who like helps put my lyrics to music and like actually turn them into songs. So we released the song about White Collar. Um,
How did you release it? Did you release it like on Apple Music or like a streaming service?
Yeah, it's on like yeah, all the streaming services except for
Mhm.
Apple right now.
Mhm.
Um but yeah.
That's awesome. Look at you.
Thank you.
You're much more proactive than I am. Have you interviewed Tim or Matt?
No, I yes, I've interviewed Matt Bomer, which that
Fantastic.
yeah is yeah one of my favorite memories. And I've
Really nice guy.
yeah, he is.
So
And
talented. So
yeah,
talented.
yeah,
Not to mention
he
he's so ugly.
yeah.
There's that.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. And yeah, and then I've interviewed Tiffany Thiessen and Marsha Thomason, who
Awesome.
are also both just so nice. And I'm trying to get like the entire cast.
That's awesome.
So
Well, here, now you have Sasha,
thank
you have
you.
myself. You just need to get the rest of the cast. So let me know how to help.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Huh. Um, who has had the biggest impact on you professionally?
Oh boy, it's interesting because I'll have to say the person that started me acting was someone I saw in a TV movie way back when I was a kid. His name is Timothy Bottoms, and I don't know if you know who that is, but he is a Golden Globe nominated actor, phenomenal actor, and just one of the people. And he was the one where I went to my parents and I said I wanted to be an actor, and then they said no. They're like, that's a hobby. And I said, no, it's not. Said I started, but I'll tell you, years later, when I was doing Pirates of the Caribbean, we had a month off or a couple months off. I remember we had a hiatus, and I did an independent movie that was about these set way back when I don't know if you remember this, but the Chinese were brought here to the United States to build a railroad, to build the railroads. So, and it was about myself and my brother. We were playing these two Chinese brothers that were building this railroad, and my brother gets murdered, and the whole movie is about me finding out like how he was killed. But while we were shipped here, we had to have this adopted family that would adopt us and keep us in their homes. And he played the father of that adopted family. And when the day I found that out, I went to him and I said, "You are the person that inspired me to act."
Oh,
And he
wow.
was so kind and so wonderful. He's always been such a wonderful actor. And one of your lesser known amazing actors that has been around for a while, but Timothy Bottoms. Aside from, Meryl Streep, Daniel
Yeah.
Day-Lewis, the hosts of other actors that inspire me to always get better and always be hungry and always know that this is not about the destination, but about the journey for
Yeah.
all of us. And there's no such thing as perfect for an actor. So you're
Yeah.
always striving to dig deeper.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah, so who has had the biggest impact on you personally?
You know, I, I, I'd have to say, I'd say my parents, because they have been, it's gonna make me cry, but, I think my mom has such a deep compassion for people and empathy, and I've always considered myself an empath, as hard as that is, and as wonderful as that can be. And then my dad always instilling in me just kind of the practicalities of the world, and just both such good people. And I think I'm just so happy to be raised by that, and we all have our faults, but I go about my days kind of always wanting a deeper meaning to what's going on this earth that we're walking around on, and how we can be nicer to people. And there are no two better people to be examples of that than my parents. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I've been in this business long enough to know that people come and go, and the friendships that you keep intact are always, I think, very much in tune with how you were raised, and what you need in life and what you gel with and who your soulmates are on this planet. So I know we're getting deep,
Yeah.
so deep. But yeah, so my parents.
Yeah.
Long answer, long answer made longer by my ranting, but I can rant forever. So
I love that. Yeah,
I know
I'm
we
a
can have an
both.
interview that's going to last for like 3 hours, and I'll
Yeah.
keep you on here. But no, we got to keep it. We got to keep it to your length.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to just talk to you forever. So,
I know we'll talk forever. Don't worry, we'll talk way
yeah.
after this interview.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm a big believer in, sorry, I'm trying to get the light off of me. I'm
I
a
see the light, but you know it's good lighting on
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
It's
thank
okay.
you.
It's
Thank
okay.
you. Um, yeah, I'm a big believer in, like, yeah, soulmates are like, there's like friends, soulmates, and yeah.
I think there are soulmates of all kinds,
Yeah,
and I think that it's one of the joys of being alive is finding those people that you connect with
yeah,
really on a deeper level. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm glad you believe that too.
yeah. Um, yeah, so were you a fan of the Grimm fairy tales before starring in Grimm?
I was a fan of the ones that were that scary. Who knew they were crazy scary? But when you grow up as a kid, it's like you never really think about that.
Yeah,
You think about it, but then you're like, oh, that's scary. But you never think it's this scary that it can
yeah,
become like
yeah,
this incredibly real.
yeah,
So, of course, I mean, especially being from the Philippines, we're a very kind of isolated country. We're surrounded by
yeah,
water, there are islands, and so there's a huge mythology that comes with that because people start believing in the weirdest things. We have our own mythology, as you can tell from what happened in the Grimm episode that was very Filipino centric. And so anything that came from anywhere else, it was a joy to kind of hear that. But until my eyes were awakened to how grim the Grimm fairy tales really were, it was like,
yeah,
whoa, the deeper
yeah,
connection to that was really beyond. But I'm so glad we got to explore it in this way that, it wasn't always my dream to be in something that was kind of sci-fi-ish,
yeah,
but uh, very different from like being in a movie or a TV show that's very real.
yeah,
This goes beyond the reality of this realm. And so to
yeah.
stretch your imagination beyond that is the biggest gift for an actor. So to think, and believe me, when people are walking around the set with like pig heads and boar heads, and it's just,
Yeah.
you're, you're just like, what is happening in my world right now? All
Yeah.
going to lunch together, but you're in a pig head. So
Yeah.
I quickly became a fan of how Jim Kauf and David Greenwalt wrote this series because they come from a very real aspect, and so I will forever remember this experience, especially the cast. This cast
Okay.
has been phenomenal,
Yeah.
phenomenal. We're family now. I'm doing a play
Mhm.
now, and they're all coming to see it at some point. So
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, that I love that.
Yeah, we're pretty tight. As
Yeah.
I'm sure the white collar cast is. I've
Yeah.
heard that they are, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, so what has been the biggest obstacle you've overcome?
Whew. Um, I think being an immigrant, coming to the United States and feeling like I didn't initially feel like I was different because I was like, it's fun. That's our dream, was to be here. But I was bullied, I would say. I grew up in Ohio, and so it's a very, very not a it's not a very diverse state. It's very Caucasian, and it was hard kind of adapting to that. And I still have scars from that to this day, but I think that helping other people kind of deal with that as you are, like what you're doing and putting forth, is really important. And I use it in my work as an actor. I use it in my daily life to help me to get past other things. But it has been bullying and probably being an immigrant and being diverse in this country that is supposed to be a melting pot, but in many instances in different parts of the country, it's not,
Yeah.
and you're looked at as other, as
Yeah.
different. And you know how that hurts. And it hurts tremendously. But at many times, if you can dig deep enough to find out where that hurt comes from and use it in a very positive way, I think it's very healing. And I think it can make you grow more than anything else that you've ever experienced, you know, as you're doing. It's why I think your story is so inspiring to me, because I think you're taking this experience that can be looked at as negative and you find the silver lining in it and turn it into this positive, which can bleed into all the other aspects of your life and become your life. And in many instances, I've found I've grown more than probably the person that wouldn't have had that happen to them. Similar to you, right? I think hopefully you would think
Yeah.
that too. Is like
Yeah.
having what you've had to go through so many things that have forced you to kind of grow,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, my sister and I always joke that, we build up our resilience and now we're like, okay, it's enough. When can we stop being resilient?
I know. It's so
Yeah.
interesting because like when can we stop being resilient? And there are times where you can let that down and be with your real friends. And I think that that's when
Yeah.
your real person comes out, your real friends and the people that
Yeah.
you find that you and I call
Yeah.
soulmates.
Yeah.
And then once you let it down, there's another something that goes boom, and like
Yeah.
packs another punch, and you're like, oh, I thought it was over. And I think that there's no stopping to growing. And
Yeah.
I think you'll find that when that next punch comes along, and it always kind of does, that you've grown enough that you can handle that. And I'm a very spiritual person, and I feel like there's nothing you can't handle. And I think each event always gets you closer to, if you choose to growing to that point where nothing bothers you, where it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, it's a very, very ideal situation. And I don't think that ever happens. I think we just continue to grow, but I think
Yeah.
you work at it, you can build happiness for yourself. It
Yeah.
doesn't, you have it all within you. It doesn't take anybody else but
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I love
So,
that. Yeah.
well,
Um,
you know, you talking to you specifically, I think I feel a connection of that particular thing because I know what you've gone through.
Yeah.
And I think that just what you're doing now inspires me to go, she is that person that is like me, that is, goes, you know what? It's not that I want another punch. If I
Yeah.
have to be resilient again, but
Yeah.
if I do, I'll get through that one
Yeah.
and better on the other side. So thank
Yeah.
you for
Yeah.
hopping on this with me to help me realize that for today.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I'm also I am very sorry that you had to experience that kind of stuff and it
Thank you
yeah.
for that. I listen,
Yeah.
I feel the same for you and what
Mhm.
you've experienced because a lot of times we don't have control over that. We don't have control over the things that wallop us in the
Yeah.
face, you know, but
Yeah.
those people that and I think the recognition of that too and feeling, allowing, validating someone's feelings about feeling horrible about it
Yeah.
instead of just fixing it are
Yeah.
are huge components in growth and in healing.
Yeah.
You know, I know that my parents, and they're always doing their best, but sometimes it's like that generation is like, you'll be fine. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you'll be fine. It's like,
Yeah.
but how?
Yeah.
But how? You know,
Yeah.
and I think our generation, well, I'm way older than you, but your generation in particular is starting to really feel their feelings and
Yeah.
validate them and go, this is what I
Yeah.
feel. And I need you to accept that this is how I feel so that I can move
Yeah.
through it and help myself.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you had a warning label, what would yours say?
Warning, oversensitive person coming into your path. Yeah, I think it comes with being an empath. It's just like
Yeah.
it's such a double-edged sword where it's like, oh, I feel for you, but then it's like when something hits me, it's like, oh, ow, ow, ow.
Yeah.
And it's not that I think I've learned so much to not have look outside myself to help for that, but it's yeah, I sometimes think about this business and how thick of a skin you have to have for it. Um, an acting teacher once told me you have to have the heart of a baby and the skin of an alligator to be in this business.
Oh.
And it's true because it's like you have to be
Yeah.
vulnerable, but then this business, you have to go, okay, I didn't get that one. What's next?
Mm. Yeah.
And I think that's just so it's it's just like oh my God. Just daily, I'm doing this
Yeah.
play, which has given me so much joy. Um, at a time when the industry is so what we're calling a contraction in the industry, right? Because of all the strikes and all the streaming stuff and layoffs and whatnot, there haven't been as many projects. And you remember what it was like to first be an actor, when it was like, oh my God, you
Yeah.
built this career, and suddenly it's like, nope, we're gonna throw this other curveball at you. And so it's challenged my oversensitive self to get beyond and kind of work at stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
Warren, oversensitive.
I like that one.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, yeah. I feel like it's interesting talking to you. I feel like you're so strong that you would not have that particular warning label. But people look at me like that
Yeah.
too. They're like, "Oh, he has it all together. He's strong, blah blah blah." It's like, "Oh no.
Yeah.
Inside, I'm deeply sensitive."
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm a very sensitive person. So,
Okay. I'll
yeah.
share that warning label with you, and then we'll cover it up with joy.
Yes.
Warning, overjoy,
Yes.
overjoyed.
Yes. Yeah. Um, so I am pop culture obsessed, and I go in stages of shows that I cannot stop watching.
Uh-huh.
Is there a show that you are currently obsessed with?
Man. Okay, so I also love television. It's part of my job, I guess. I'm completely obsessed with The Last of Us. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't.
Okay. And believe it or not, I just finished binge watching the fourth season of Emily in Paris.
Oh.
And I really love Heartstopper.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
waiting for that season to come out.
yes.
Um, I'm telling you, the perfect couple I really loved. There's
Yeah.
so many, but The Last of Us I was completely obsessed with. Completely. What about you?
Yeah. Well, I've seen all of those shows except for The Last of Us, and
Okay.
I love them all. I am trying to think. There's shows that I'm currently watching the show Heels. It just came on Netflix.
Is that with what's the guy that played Stephen Amell?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. How is
Yeah.
that? It
It's
looks
so
good.
good. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
Should I watch it?
Yes, I
Okay.
think so. Yeah.
I'm looking for another show.
Yeah, it's
So, yeah.
so good.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I'll
Yeah.
watch that one. I do you binge
Yeah.
watch?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, like everybody else, right? Because
Yeah.
how can you stop when it's
Yeah.
right in front of you, and then on Netflix it goes right into the next one, and you're like, it takes so much to
Yeah.
press pause and to go, I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop watching for the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna start that.
Yeah, I've interviewed Stephen Amell a couple times.
Wow.
And yeah, he's just like the nicest guy. And so I everything I've seen of his, I love.
Oh, well,
So
he's about to do the
yeah.
Suits
Yeah.
remake.
Yeah.
Remake. I love that show. I had actually
Me
auditioned for
too.
this one and didn't get it, but I'm so
Oh
glad
yeah.
he is doing this show because he's gonna kill it.
Yeah, I'm so excited to watch that. I binge watched all of Suits when it came on
Didn't you
Netflix.
love it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I loved it too.
Yeah, what made me want to watch it was like reminded me in certain ways like a little bit of White Collar, and since that is one of my favorite shows, I wanted to watch Suits. So,
Like the bro shows. You know,
yeah.
the two bro leads
Yeah.
of the show. Exactly. No,
Yeah.
they were great. They were great.
Yeah. 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 And I'm finishing up Grimm right now because I took a short
Wow.
break from it because
Okay, we'll
I
talk after you finish it.
yes. Okay. Yeah.
We'll talk
I
after
have
you finish it.
yeah, I'm on the last I think I'm on like episode 7 of season 6. Because I had to take a short break from it because I was watching it every day, and then there was some stuff in the world that I was like, I'm just so anxious right now. I can't watch
I
anything.
can't
So
handle
I,
more anxiety from a television
yeah,
show I choose to watch.
yeah, yeah. So I went back to it now, and I'm finishing it.
Okay, well, I'll make you a deal. Let's do another one of these when you're done.
Okay, I would love that.
Okay? Okay.
Okay, yeah. Um, yeah, so what genre of movie would your life story be told as?
Oh man, as much as I'd love to say what probably as much as I'd because I love drama. I love it. You know, I
Yeah,
love doing dramas. That's my preference of like what to do when I'm filming something.
yeah.
But man, I think it would have to veer towards either dramedy or complete and utter comedy. Because I would want it to be. I started writing
Yeah,
and I wrote this idea. I have this writing coach, and I wrote that she's phenomenal. Her name's Pilar Alessandra, and she's coached so many wonderful writers. But I had this idea, and so I told her about it, and so I started writing, and I said I want it to be a dramedy because I like those, you know, those dramedies that are like, um, you can get it's funny, but then there are those dramatic moments that really make you think about life
yeah.
and your life and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted it to be that. And so I started writing it like that. And then we had these coaching sessions, and she said, I have some good news and I have some bad news. She said, the good news is it's really well done. The bad news is you're really good at comedy. I was like, no, I don't want to hear that. She goes, I think this should be a comedy, like a complete comedy. And I was like, oh God, okay. I've always been so scared of comedy, you know, and
Mm.
I've done it. I've done it so many times, but
Yeah,
it's always feels so pressure induced. Makes me anxious because it's like if you're not funny, it's like, you
yeah.
know, so it's just like, but I would want it to be a comedy because I think all the stuff, the hilarity out of the really dramatic situations is how I would want it to be perceived.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah.
What about you?
I
I'm
love
gonna ask
that.
you that question.
Uh, I don't know if it would work, but I want my life to be either a rom-com or a musical, or I think both. I want a rom-com musical.
Okay. Can I just tell you, I
Yeah,
just took this acting
yeah.
class, and this was this wonderful acting coach. And we took a class called a genre class. And it was all these actors that are working pretty much on a regular basis. But like my scene was Silence of the Lambs. Have you ever seen Silence of the Lambs?
I haven't.
Okay, it's a really like deep, dark mystery. But what he would do is he would assign you with a scene and you would do it for the first class. And then he would go, so for the next class, I want you to come in and do this scene as a musical.
Wow.
You would have to like, he's like, I would like you to do this scene like Grease or Grease 2. And I want you to, and people came in with like, they were doing Grease when it was these hardcore dramatic movies, and it was
Wow.
hilarious. So I can see that you could do. I
Okay.
love rom-coms. As you can tell from the shows that I watch, I am like a hopeless romantic, and
Yeah.
it is. I love those. I love those. And combine it with a musical, you're set.
Yeah.
It's set.
Yeah.
Do you like
Yeah.
musical stuff? Do you like Broadway stuff? Do you
I
like that
do.
stuff? You
Yeah,
do.
I do. I have like some Broadway soundtracks that I just have on all the time. I just my family and I just last October we went and saw our first Broadway show for
What
our
was your first
birthdays.
Broadway
Yeah,
show?
it was Gutenberg.
Oh my God. With
Yeah.
Andrew Rannells and Josh Gad.
Yeah.
How was that?
So good. It's so funny and just so
Oh, that's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah, I've interviewed Andrew a couple times, so he knows how much I love Broadway and how much I always wanted to go see a show. So he invited me and my family to come see the
Yeah,
show.
that is so
Um,
awesome. That's
so
so great.
thank you. Yeah, so
Did you
my
see
family
anything
and I
else?
went for our birthdays.
Awesome. When is your birthday?
You, October 16th.
You're a Libra like me.
Yeah, my mom's a Libra too, so
No wonder we get along. My birthday's
yeah.
October 7th.
Oh wow.
Yeah. No wonder we have the same sensibilities. A Libra
Yeah,
fellow right
yes.
here.
Yeah.
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 So was Sasha, by the way.
Oh yeah, I think you might have told me that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure. I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
Which reminds
Yeah.
me, I have to wish that man a happy
So
birthday
cool.
soon.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Uh,
Yeah,
so did
my
you see anything else?
no, we
Okay.
didn't. But
Did you have a
yeah,
good New York experience though?
yes, it was incredible. Andrew, yeah, he got us like seats that we were like third row from the stage. So like I got a perfect we all got a perfect sight of the whole show.
You got
And
rock star seats. You're a rock star. That's awesome.
thank you.
Now, being a hopeless romantic too, and if you want musicals, I go get the cast recording of The Notebook.
Oh, I've heard a couple songs from the
Okay.
Notebook, and I really like that one.
Okay, good.
One of my all-time favorites is Spring Awakening. Um, like
Yeah.
I wish I could have seen the original cast
Oh yeah.
on Broadway. Like that's my biggest wish that I could
Yeah.
go back in time and see the original cast.
That was like a while ago. Leah Michelle,
Yeah, and
um,
yeah,
and
and
who else?
Jonathan Groff.
Jonathan Groff. That's right.
Yeah.
Only the Tony winner from this past
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you enjoy musicals. That's very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's how I
Yeah.
started. That's how I started my career was doing
Oh,
musicals.
wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Um, yeah, so what small things bring you joy on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, meditation in the
Yeah.
morning, um, getting out of my house or whatever, even if it's to go to the grocery store, um, sitting in my backyard, uh, a phone call with my niece.
Hmm. I
Those
love
things.
that.
Yeah. I love connection.
Yeah.
I mean, in any way, shape, or form. I used to hate to be alone, but now I love it in many ways that I can connect to nature. I think once you look outside and take a walk, it's just so easy to go, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, um, but yeah, those looking forward to TV shows that I can binge watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Um, so what is something that people are always surprised to learn about you?
Well, I've been told this, and this is not about like there is no ego with this,
Yeah.
uh, only because I've played so many bad guys in the start of my career that people come up to me
Yeah.
and go, "I'm so surprised that you're a nice guy." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's because my alter ego is the bad guy." I think when you're I don't know, there's part of being a nice guy that you can when you play a quote unquote bad guy. I don't ever want to call them bad guys because they're just like characters that I infiltrate that are just trying to get through their lives and do what they need to do.
Yeah.
Uh, but it it's like because you're around trying to be nice all day and that's your kind of being. There's that alter ego that whenever you play that character, it's like I'm gonna go balls out,
Yeah.
and it's just so easy to
Yeah.
like be sinister or to feel like I can get into that state of mind. And I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of where, believe it or not, where I use kind of like the bullying aspect of how I grew up and that pent up energy of, you know, exacting whatever. It's just like it's so full of revenge and all that kind of stuff that I never ever want to visit because I feel like even bullies are just people who were brought up not in the best way,
Yeah.
you know. And so it's like they deserve grace. But when you're telling
Yeah.
me to like play a bad guy, it's like I'll use whatever works. And that works for me. So I think who was asked that question just recently. It's like, what do you, oh, Viola Davis. It was like, what do you use from your acting training? She's like, whatever works. I'll use whatever works. And she's a phenomenal actress.
Yeah.
So I'll say
Yeah.
that now as I get older in my career is that. And that's kind of
Yeah.
what people like. I've had people come up to me, like when I was doing Prison Break, I had a Starbucks, and people come up and go, I so hate you. I,
Yeah.
and I would talk to them and they'd be like, oh my God, how do you play those roles? I was like, oh, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Believe me. So that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, yeah, there's the like I definitely for me there are those actors that like you see in a show or movie who play such horrible people that then it's hard not to like assign that to to the actor. Like
So
but
hard.
yeah, but then I remember knowing hearing somebody saying once that like the people who usually play the most awful characters are like the kindest people. Um and I thought that was so interesting. It's like it's so hard to hate you when you watch like an interview with them.
Oh, well, thank you. It's
Yeah.
it's yeah, I mean, it's again, it was like when I was starting out, all that I could audition for were literally leaders of gangs because it was just like that was what was available to Asian men. And so it was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Let me try to make this really human. And
Yeah.
so, from Fast and the Furious to Pirates to whatever, I mean, I think grim is the first time I became good. And even then, I'm really sarcastic and grim. So it's just
Yeah.
like there are aspects of that, but I'm closer to the grim character than I am to any of the other characters.
Yeah.
Maybe closer to my All Rise character, if you've ever seen that show, which was on CBS a little bit ago. But
Yeah.
it is that. It is
Yeah.
now I like to play very complex characters. I've had the taste of both. So I
Yeah.
like to play, the nice guys that have a little bit of evil in them, or the evil
Yeah.
guys that have this really soft side to
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
there you have it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I always, whenever, yeah, I see an actor who like played somebody horrible in one thing, I see them in another thing. Always have to remind myself, I'm like, no, they're not that character. They're just playing a character.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
so hard for Hollywood to do too. Imagine it's like, yeah, for you guys, yeah, but like once a show is finished, they equate you so much with that particular character that it's hard for them to cast you
Yeah.
again really quickly in a different character because it's like, oh, I see you as Woo and Grim. So I
Mm.
can't see you as this and this right now. So it
Yeah.
took a couple years to get the next thing because they had to erase that, you
Mm.
know. But I know it's hard.
Wow.
It's hard. But now you get to interview and you get to see what
Yes.
we're like. So
Yeah. Yeah. um So, I just have a few more questions
sure,
for you, if that works.
go at it.
Um, so do you have any irrational fears?
I'm a hypochondriac at heart.
Mm, yeah.
And it's weird because my dad's a doctor.
Mm.
So, it used to get me into kind of like I couldn't rationalize everything that I got immediately led to death. And I couldn't rationalize the in between of it,
Mm,
And so it was one of those things where I was like, okay, we've got to get a little help on this one. And we
mm,
did. And it was great because it really helped me see that no, I mean, the 1% of it, if that, 0.05% leads to death. There's this whole other percentage that leads to not death
yeah,
and learning and education and figuring it out and more happiness and blah 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 and you're going to be okay. The you're going to be okay part
yeah,
and it's going to be fine. So it's that's I mean, I don't know if it's interesting because my dad was like, you know what? Everyone has that. Everyone has a fear of whatever. And I'm sure you've gone through it and you've gone through it on a different scale. And so to rationalize your fear with that and to rationalize all that, there had to be some work done in that, you
yeah,
know? So that, and I'm now feeling like, okay, I understand now how this works. And why that was my irrational fear versus a fear of spiders or a fear of being in tight spaces. But I do have kind of a fear of spiders and kind of a fear
mm,
of tight spaces too,
yeah.
but not as big as the hypochondria. So, but now I'm like, stay away from the Google. Don't Google this because it's gonna come up with something that leads to
Yeah.
death. And so I stay away from the Google.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Um, so what is the best song to describe your life right now?
I would have to say "Living in the Moment" by Jason Mraz. Do you know that song?
I do, yeah. I like
Yeah.
that song.
I used to play it every day before going to work on set, like Grimm especially, because there were times when we would get to the 13th or 14th episode of a season, we'd all be really tired. And it was just one of those things where it's just a reminder of like have instead of don't have. Like we have so much, and in the moment, if you look around, because a lot of times we live in here and you're not living in the moment or you're living on your phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean these days?
Yeah.
So it's like you realize how much you have and how blessed you are and how blessed we all are. And so I think that because I think I'm going through a moment of like a lot of like growth, psychologically, spiritually, all of the above, and it's the world is crazy right now.
Yeah.
So that part where we can't control any of that, but you can control that narrative in your head,
Yeah.
so I think that all my answers get
I
long with you
love
because I can
that.
just talk to you forever and a day.
Yeah, I could just talk to you forever too. So
Aw, well, we will. and we'll continue to talk.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, so my final question for you is so I love inspiring and motivational quotes. And this week the one that spoke to me is keep walking through the storm. Your rainbow is waiting on the other side. Is there a quotation that has inspired you lately?
Man. So I read this book by this guy, Joel Goldsmith, and I've read so many of his books. And I don't know if you probably know who Eckhart Tolle is and Marianne Williamson and these very, very kind of forward-thinking, kind of, you know, spiritual thinkers, if you will. But I've been reading, it's not so much a quote, but everything that I've been reading lately has it's I keep going back to this, but it's not the quote, but it's the general gist of this entire chapter is that if you look without, you'll never have, if you look within, you'll have everything.
I love that.
And I just made that up, but only because the gist of the chapter is that because so many of our things we look for satisfaction and validation out here.
Yeah.
But I realized as I grow older that all the validation and all the stuff that I need to grow as an artist and as a human being is in here. If I tune out this sound and listen. So that's you helped me find my mantra for the rest of the month. So it's this wonderful if you look him up, and I'll send you some stuff on him, and I'll send you some quotes
Thank
by him
you.
because they're so great. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I have to stop reading right there because if I read on, I just want to focus on this one particular quote. There are so many. I love inspirational quotes. They feed me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are my like sustenance,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send you some. And
Thank you.
yeah, I
Thank
love that you
you.
love inspiring. See, we are the same person.
Yeah. We are.
Completely the same person.
Yeah.
It's so great to talk to you.
You too.
I literally can sit here for hours
Me too.
talking, but I feel like we're already friends. So
Yeah. Me too.
there's that.
Yeah. And I would love to talk with you again. Well, keep talking to you and
You
then
got
have
it.
you also back on.
You got it. You got them both.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had the best time
Me
talking with you.
too.
You've made my day. So thank you.
Yeah, me too. You know, it's interesting. There were so many things that are floating around my head because I hadn't meditated this morning, and this person calling and that person calling, and there were so many issues that it was just like, for a second, this like took me away from all of it, and I remembered that
Yeah.
life is good. So thank
Yeah.
you for helping me remember that.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I was kind of feeling the same way, just like overwhelmed with things. So thank you.
You are an amazing human being, and I can't wait
Thank you.
to build this friendship even more.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait too.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I so appreciate your taking the time. I think you are also just an incredible person and yeah, thank you so much and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Mwah.
Thank you. Mwah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's a wrap on today's edition of The Latest with Maya.